Yes, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Following last night's victorious run out in the Champions League, let's look at the 5 things that we learned in that game. Number 1, Eriksen, game changer. The most technically sound player in United's team, and when he plays, the difference shows. Now, this becomes a problem because not every game is an Eriksen game. If you cast your mind back to things like the FA Cup semi-final, I think even the final, when you come up against the team, and Manchester City this weekend is probably a prime example of that, when you go up against a team that's going to outwork you in midfield with energetic players, a la Brighton and Manchester City, sometimes Eriksen can get lost. Now, when you're probably more expected to dominate the ball a little bit, Eriksen comes into his own and is a massive asset to us. I think maybe with a better defence, you could probably trust Eriksen a little bit more. But I think you have to pick and choose how and when you utilise him. I would be tempted, as they did with Scott McTominay and Bruno, maybe, to switch him and Bruno around and have Bruno's energetic running a little bit deeper alongside somebody else and maybe push Casemiro forward and look for him to be the one that we find to create in the final third. I think that could be an interesting tactical tweak that we make. When Eriksen's on the pitch, we have more control. There's a more intelligent balls sort of find their way into the final third. The team lacks that sort of high-level technical ability. Now, of course, there's good technical players in the team, but like in terms of the technical way of maintaining control, you know, Eriksen's got like Scholesy traits in that sense. He's just got like this internal kind of clock about when to pass, when to move, and where to pass and where to move. You know, he is a joy to watch and he makes such a massive difference. And speaking of Scholes, actually, I thought Scholes got it wrong a little bit, calling Amrabat a destroyer. I think Amrabat has got the ability to dictate play. Maybe not in the Scholes or Eriksen sense, but I think he's a passer. I think Amrabat has got the potential to do, maybe not to the same level of quality, but he can do, you know, he's more of a Carrick than a Kante, I think. And I think that's important for people to remember, because I think people assume following the World Cup that he's more of a Kante kind of player. But that's not the kind of player he is. I think against City, I would probably be lining up with, do you know what? Let's talk about City at the end. Number 2, Maguire saves the day. So he got a man of the match performance at weekend, whether you agree with that or disagree. He was man of the match. I don't agree with that, but he was man of the match at weekend, and he's backed that up with scoring a winner. You got to give credit where it's due with that. He has definitely shown great mental fortitude. He's still probably giving the ball away a little bit too much for a defender for me, but he did look better alongside Varane in that sense. And there were times that we were threatened, but there weren't loads of times that we were threatened. So, you know, he's going to play for the next 2 months at least. Let's hope he can maintain this level of performance. Right, lads, gather around. You have heard me banging on about Manscaped for ages, mainly discussing the virtues of a well-trimmed ball bag. But today we're going to move a little bit north, and something that you might have actually seen, my beard. Manscaped isn't just a master of below-the-belt grooming. They have conquered beard territory too. And I know this is groundbreaking news. Let's delve into the details. Now, we are all well acquainted with Manscaped's brilliance for the downstairs department. They've been many a saviour of many a date night and many a ball bag. And you know the Lawnmower 4.0 by now. I'm not going to tell you about any of the features for it, because if you don't know them, then you're never going to know them, right? It's a certified hero for the nether regions. But they're here for the beards now as well, and they've got the beard hedger. It is a cordless miracle worker that is both tough and gentle. It takes down facial forests in a single stroke. It's got 20 different lengths of settings. It gives you the power to totally customize your beard without cluttering up the bathroom and having a million different attachments. Now, they've also got another member of the band, and it's the Handyman. That is a dual-sided foil razor that has got your back, whether it's your face, whether you're going clean shaven or just tidying up a little bit around the neck. It is the epitome of comfort in the shaving world. midfield, and it's got a seamless and nick-free experience. So listen, if you want to give your beard the VIP treatment that it absolutely deserves, get over to manscaped.com, use the special code Howson20, you're going to get 20% off and free shipping. And while you're grooming the jewels, let's not neglect the crown. With Manscaped, who said beauty had to be a pain? Let's keep it neat and tidy, top to bottom. Number 3, the technical flaw. Now, United are lacking balance and we are lacking control. And actually, Copenhagen shown a lot more fluidity going forward and a bit more guile going forward than we did. We're transitional at the moment because we haven't got enough players capable of taking control of the ball. And Ten Hag kind of alluded to this in what I thought was a great little post-match interview with Scholes and Rio, where he talked about routines. I'm not sure what word he was trying to find instead of routines, but routines was the word that he seemed to settle on a long time. And they talked about the importance of Christian Eriksen and you know, he talked about having Martinez and Varane and Casemiro at all times last season, and that gave us a defensive solidity that we just haven't had this year. And I think he's got a bit of a point on that front. But United's inability to control a game, hopefully Casemiro benefits from this little break that he's had. Because I think having Casemiro and Amrabat and maybe even Eriksen as well starts to make things look really good. It then begs the question of, okay, if you've got Casemiro, you've got Amrabat, Bruno's probably going to be the first choice in there as well. And Eriksen comes in occasionally. Where does Mount fit in? And Mount's a really good technical footballer, and one that's got a real press on him. I think at the moment he doesn't have a dedicated position. And there's a big favouring of Antony for whatever reason it is that Ten Hag decides to favour Antony. So there's a lot of question marks about just how this side truly lines up in one game to the next. He talks about being adaptive to the opposition that you're playing. Well, you're going to have to adapt this weekend for sure. Number 4, ONANA. So I'm loving a bit of a redemption arc here for ONANA, because I think that it was massively over-egged at the start of the season, and I actually think you could see it affected his confidence. But he made a couple of real good saves on the night, and obviously saved a penalty on top of that as well. And you could see in the celebrations at the end that meant a lot to him, and it meant a lot to the team, and it was great to see the team rally around him and celebrate him. Is he a confidence player? I don't know enough about him. He's still so new here at United for us to really see him. We never really saw him rattled at Ajax or Inter and questioned the way that you get when you're playing for Manchester United. By the way, what's happened at Ajax? Have you seen? Go and have a look. So I think that would probably do him the world of good going into this weekend's game against Manchester City. And speaking of which, Derby Day. Ugh. So I said, let's have a look at how I would line up. I can see a lot of benefit to using Bruno or Mount as a right winger in this game. I would like to see Casemiro and Amrabat to give us a solid 2 in midfield. If it's not Casemiro ready yet, it's probably going to be McTominay, but it looks like McTominay's position has now switched and he's the one that plays higher up. And if we see the Copenhagen game, you saw that Bruno was the one playing a little bit deeper. United have to get the midfield right. Defence ain't quite there yet. Hopefully Reguilon was spelled because it's his first game back and he's managing him, because he'll be a big asset at the weekend. But not having the likes of Wan-Bissaka or Shaw or Martinez in this game is still problematic for us. Maybe it suits us to play off the back foot against City. Maybe it suits Harry Maguire to play off the back foot against City. Maybe if they're trying to stick balls into Haaland, Harry Maguire's aerial ability is something that actually benefits us in that game. I just haven't seen this United team break on teams enough. And they have got all the tools in the world to break on teams. Marcus is a primary counter-attacking player. And Højlund has got the ability down the centre as well. And we've shown in the game against Copenhagen last night, when Manchester United break, they break well. And we weren't clinical. And with Manchester City, you might get 3 or 4 chances in a game, but that'll be it. You're going to have to score 1 or 2 of those, because if I sit here and tell you that we can keep a clean sheet against City, you're asking why I'm doing drugs so early in the morning. So I think you might need to score 2 to get a result against City. But anyway, that's what I think. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.